What's up, everybody? Dirty Lens. Jesus. That scared the shit out of me. Damn. Okay.
What's up?
Scared the shit out of me. What's going on, everybody? We are at episode 7, which is pretty damn amazing. We're this far already. Let us know if you can hear.
We're gonna have to start up season 2 soon.
Yeah, how many episodes are there supposed to be? 8?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet how many we're gonna do to a season.
Well, we'll figure it out. Why can I never see myself? Am I on or what?
I don't know.
I'm not on, honey? What is this shit? Pardon my language. Let me stop myself.
What was it when that happened? Didn't it just eventually come up?
It did, but I started and stopped my broadcast only. I left you going.
So do you want to just do the same thing? Or?
I'm already started and stopped myself.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that 150 shot video today, actually. Give us a second to try to work out little technical difficulties here. Mike's channel's not actually streaming out, so just give us 1 minute. Good time to drink beer if you got it.
You know what? I wasn't going to drink tonight, but that changed rather quickly.
Yeah, you could see us both on my channel, but he's also streaming out to his channel. And it's the stream going through yet for some reason.
I'm going to delete this template, Steve, and start all over for next week because there's just no explanation for this. Seriously.
What's up, Tracy? How's it going?
Let me make a baby girl. Yes, no.
What are you doing?
I mean, I can't see myself, so. No.
So yeah, I don't know where he went. So anyway, I guess we'll just start talking about the 150 shot this weekend. So
yeah, you know what, Steve? Jump right in because I'm just going to have to do what I did last week, which is stop and start my stream. So I understand you're at the track. What you got with this 150 shot for us?
Yeah, so basically we're still having issues, and it was another basically wasted weekend as far as I'm concerned. But the one good thing that we got this weekend is we got some data. So I did a 150 shot, and the car ran, I believe, it was its best pass, but still nowhere near what it should be. It ran an 1140 at only 119. Now keep in mind, the car's trapped higher than 119 on motor alone. So obviously, I mean, the nitrous, just starting with the 150 shot, the nitrous came in good. It hit hard right off the, when it came in at about 3,100, 3,200, I think I had it set to come in at. Nitrous came in, and then all of a sudden, if any of you guys have ever used nitrous and on a wet kit, you've ever felt your bottle run empty and it just spraying fuel, that's pretty much what it felt like. The car just kind of fell on its face and just wasn't making good power. I was just getting ready to get let out of it, and it seemed to kick back in. So I stayed in it. The car did the 1140. But obviously I knew, oh yeah, and also it did kick a check engine light on at the end of the pass, which quickly went off within 20 seconds or so. So what I'm thinking is it's misfiring. That's the only thing I can think of. I've looked at the log. I do have the log. I spoke to Rob a couple times today from Palm Beach Dyno, and I am going to have a discussion with him tomorrow over the phone. Yeah, I just saw your live pop up. So
Okay.
So I have a phone conversation set up with him for tomorrow, and we're going to try to get this all figured out. But I looked at the log, and from what I could see for air fuel ratio and stuff like that, I mean, the nitrous was definitely on for the entire 150 shot pass. It's just, it wasn't making power. So you got two things going on when that happens. Either one, it's not spraying nitrous and it's just spraying fuel. At the track, I tested it. I took the lines off the plate, free sprayed it. Nitrous is coming out. I test purged it again. Nitrous is coming out in a nice thick plume. So I could pretty much rule that out. The other thing that would cause that to happen is spark blowout or misfires. So I'm basically I'm coming to the conclusion that, and again I want to talk to Rob some more about this, but I think that the car is blowing the spark out, and that I just have too much gap in the spark plugs.
Which
Because
is not uncommon for that stuff to be changed, right? When you do a modification and run 85.
sure, yeah, I mean I am running a smaller gap than stock already. Nitrous Express recommended no more than a 35 thousandths gap. I think guys with E85 also bring down the gap, so that may be the issue here. Because honestly, when I had the 100 shot on just on regular, unleaded fuel, it wasn't pump gas per se. I was using either Torco or I was using 100 octane with Torco. But on pump gas, the thing worked perfectly. Other than the little issues I had with the window switch, Nitrous Express jumped right in, took care of that immediately, sent me out a new window switch. That window switch has worked perfectly ever since. So other than that little issue, I mean, the nitrous worked, like as far as the power being there and, all that good stuff, it worked. So it seems like now with the E85, I have a new issue with misfiring.
I'm guessing you haven't tried it without 85. There was no time to evacuate the 85 and try it.
Well, I only have a nitrous tune for E85.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you had both.
Yeah, and then I mean that would be just that would be like two steps backwards kind of thing, because I'd have to drain the entire tank perfectly, and then fill it back up with pump gas, and then it's kind of going backwards in the sense that, that's why we went with the E85, and so we can do the 150 shot and then maybe more in the future. I really don't want to take steps backwards. I want, which is one of the reasons I was so frustrated after this weekend. So what I did was I tried to go down to 100 shot and see what it would do, suspecting the misfire thing. And sure enough, it still didn't feel right. It wasn't right, but it picked up like 4 or 5 miles an hour, going down 50 horsepower on nitrogen. So it still did the same thing. It did like an 11.4, 11.5. I have to look at a time slip again. But it picked up 4 mile an hour going down to the 100 shot, and I could feel that it was motivating much harder on the big end of the track. So that's even more making me think it's spark blowout. It's misfiring. The more nitrous and fuel you add, you probably need a much smaller gap, especially with the E85. You're running 30% more fuel. So it's just, I guess a simple way to look at it is you're shooting a lot more shit into the cylinder,
Right.
which is more likely to blow out a spark gap.
Well, that's unfortunate, but outside of the running issue, how was the hooking up? Was it solid as a rock like usual, or any trouble this weekend with that?
What's that?
How did it hook up out of the hole? Did it launch
Oh,
like it normally does?
dead. Yeah, it hooks dead.
I really just have to get the radial versions of what you have and start messing around, because I don't know what that means to hook up. And it would probably send me, might
Well, you
grab
also
my
have
neck
to
problem.
remember it's a prep surface. I mean, you're literally launching on glue.
Well, can't I just put some spray
It
glue
still
down
does
and let it
very
rip?
well for what it is, coming out of the hole on a 150 shot, it hooks 100% dead. And I mean, it's still impressive, no doubt.
Phew, that's something.
Yeah.
And 1140s.
No,
It's
it's
freaking
not.
fantastic.
Okay, but here's the cool part to the story, kind of. There is some good out of the story. So backing up a little bit when I first get to the track. And guys, I will have a video on this, but the reason why I plan to have that video out, obviously, like Sunday night after I went to the track. But the reason why I don't have a video out yet is because it was pretty much an incomplete video at that point. I made 2 passes, one on the 150 shot, one on the 100 shot. And I didn't want to just have another video doing the same thing without any explanation of what's going on. So to complete this video properly, I want to, finish my talks with Palm Beach Dyno, and then show you guys what I'm going to do to try to remedy the situation when we go back to the track this weekend or next. So that's, you'll see that video, tomorrow or Wednesday for sure. But okay, so back to the story. When I get to the track, first thing I want to do, I didn't even want to mess around making NA passes. I wanted to just go straight for the nitros so that I could definitely get more than one attempt on the nitros. So I get into the staging lanes. There's like nobody in line because it took me a while there's plenty of people in line, but there's nobody next to me because the right lane was kind of backed up and I was the last person in line setting up the nitros. Mm-hmm. So when there's like 4 cars left in line, another 2018 pulls up next to me. I didn't recognize the guy or anything. So we go to make our pass, I purge, I'm set up for the 150 shot. I make the pass, and this guy, like, pretty much wipes the floor with me. So I'm thinking, like, the way he pulled off me, I'm on the 150 shot. Now, granted, again, I did definitely notice that the car was way down on power, so there was that. But it was still a good pass. Like, it was an 1140s pass. I was moving. Let's just say that.
Sure, that's rolling.
So, yeah, and this guy literally wipes the floor with me. So first thing I'm thinking in my mind is, like, man, that thing's got a freaking Whipple on it or something. Huh. So I get back into the pit area, and I get out of the car and stuff. This guy comes walking over. I figured it was the guy that I just made the passes against. And that's right. And I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? I didn't know who he was, and he was like, man, dude, like, I don't know if you know who I am, but you helped me set up my nitro system on my car. I saw all your videos, and I copied pretty much everything you did to the T. Long story short, he did a 1080 at damn near 130 miles an hour, wiped the floor with me, by following my videos on how to set up.
Who did his tune?
And he's on 100 shot of nitros. So, wow. Only on the 100 shot, car went 1080 at, I think, like 128, 129 mile an hour. I have it on video, so we'll see that. But, yeah, so that was something good I could take from the whole thing that, yeah, maybe I haven't got to do it yet, but at least I see that it's there. And when it works properly, it's going to run a really good time. Like I said, he ran a 1080 at close to 130. I don't remember if it was 127, 128, somewhere in that range. But 1080 on a 100 shot, the only mod difference is, I think, between our cars is he had a JLT intake. He might have been... I'm not sure if he had long tubes or not, but it's not going to make a huge difference there.
Dude, that's whaling. That's whaling.
Yeah.
So that should put you at least to say, give you the confidence to say, man, once I get this squared away, I will be in the 10s, not scraping at the 10s. I will be in. Say, I don't know what you consider deep, but, maybe 1070, 1060, 1080.
Yeah. Well, based on what he ran on the 100 shot,
right?
I would say that a 10.7 on the 150 shot as it sits is a pretty realistic goal, and that's about where I was hoping it would be. Honestly, on the 150 shot, I figured a 1070 at right around 130. Oh yeah, that's moving out, man.
You know what? And let's be honest. 11.4 is moving out too.
I got the trans brake set up on the car now. We have one Ford Performance axle in house, so that I'll be able to use when we get the other one. I'm gonna have to buy one. Those things are like $1,000 a piece, so it'll probably be a while before I get that. But
wow, you had one. Great.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a group axle. We get a lot of parts and stuff, through the dealer, and like work, friends work, a lot of other cars, and just a lot of people doing swaps, and parts get handed around a lot. So
I'll swap you a whole blower setup if you need it.
To buy the other axle, and then then it's on like Donkey Kong when it comes to that trans brake, because that thing is going to be a game changer to for the ET
Yeah,
that
that's
car runs. Because here's the thing, the one huge constricting factor with the nitrous is that you can't activate it until 3,000 RPMs or later. So leaving, from 2,000 RPM, the car rolls out. You got to move about 30, 40 feet until the nitrous can come on. And now you're almost through the 60 feet. It doesn't really improve 60 feet your 60-foot times very much because of that. So when you get to that trans brake with the nitrous in particular, it's going to be a game changer if I can get the car to hook. And I'm prepared to make some suspension changes if need be, as long as we can get all this done before, the GT500 is close approaching, and I don't know what we're going to do as far as what cars we're going to keep and not. I mean, other than the 350R, that car's staying no matter what.
But I figured it out. You're going to sell me your white car really, really cheap, because why not? Because I want an automatic 10-speed car.
But once we have that trans brake on there, realize we can leave at an RPM now that I can activate the nitrous on. So I could, in theory, leave at 3,000 RPM and have the nitrous activated immediately. So it would be, if it'll hook, it would be one hell of a nasty launch.
It would be a neck snapping launch, because there's one thing you said a few weeks ago. You talk about how hard your car shifts, and looking at Xander's video and Stang Mode's video, those last couple of videos they had when they were racing up there in Atco, dude, I don't know how you don't have neck problems after seeing how your head smacks back each gear. I don't see those guys having that much. It's crazy. Maybe I need to ride in your car. It might adjust me or something, because I just
attitude problems.
It's crazy.
So yeah, long story short, I left pretty frustrated. A lot of things are different when you do the YouTube thing, man, because it's always like, especially when you say you're going to do something, or you go out and then the same thing keeps happening, or you feel like you have nothing new to share. It gets really frustrating.
I can imagine, but it's reality. If you cut out all the bad stuff.
The way a few people put it to me at the track, and they made a good point, it's like that's part of what you're sharing. You know what I mean? Like, the way to do it also wrong. And I hate to say it like that, but it's helpful to people to show how, not to do it also. Look, if all you do is slap everything on, and you don't show the mess ups, and you don't show, where, the cars don't start when you put them together, then it's really just an illusion. It's not reality.
This is reality. Not everything is perfect. All right. Not everything is you do one.
That's what a lot of people don't realize when they compare drag. Let's just talk about drag times in general. A lot of people don't realize that when they compare drag times, when they see I call them glory runs. Everybody has a glory run, but it's essentially it's just another way of saying it's your best ever pass. But a lot of people don't realize how many passes some of these guys put in. Like, there's a guy that I always see, a great guy, and it's a couple actually that run at the track. Husband and wife. They're great, they're a great couple. They're always there every single weekend. And a lot of people point to their times when they use an example with the 2018 Mustangs. Both of them have been a 1080 in that car on motor. And it's Palm Beach dyno tuned. It has very simple modifications on it. But people don't realize that those that they literally have probably 200 passes apiece under their belt in that car.
Right, and that's the thing. The Glory Pass came after 199. It wasn't.
Well, whether it came out after 100 or 200, but it doesn't run a 1080 every time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes and it's running 11.1, 11.2. But it's still a 10-second car, and it's made multiple 10-second passes. But I think a lot of times people don't realize. I guess the point I'm trying to make is people don't realize that especially when you start getting into like power adder and nitrous and stuff, a lot of the passes and the times that people point to are, they're worked at. They're not just like, oh, we put this on the car and pulled it out of the trailer and boom, 9-second car. Like, no, we made, look at how much Cletus has done with that Corvette already to get it into the eights. And that's one thing I love about their channel is they share the journey. They share, everything that didn't work, every stupid mistake they make, every, motor blown, every roasted can bearing. Like, it's the true real process to building something like that.
If you're gonna have a channel, unless you're doing some fantasy channel, this is what really happens. This is real life. It's not all perfect. Put on exhaust, put on a JLT, and you're running 1080s. It doesn't work like that. There's going to be failures. And to leave out the failures is, giving people false expectations of what really happens. Kind of like those home improvement shows where they show you, hey, you're just going to frame that out there, and they flip over to the next thing and it's done, or that's not reality.
Yeah.
So this is good,
People don't realize like what sometimes it's a lot goes into it. A lot of passes go into it. A lot of like testing, tune revisions. Like there's a lot of things that go into some of these glory runs that you see.
That's right.
We'll get there. We will get there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a system setup, and there's a few last minute thing like pretty much last ditch resorts that I could think of to really kind of rethink the whole thing.
Can I send you my car and you could dial that into for me, please?
Sure.
I would like to see how fast my car would go with someone that's a competent driver. And of course, tires and front, rear tires and stuff like that. I'm about ready to, because I'm not getting any use out of it. It's just one thing after the other with me, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm anxious to see what my car will do. And I kind of think it's going to be mid-11s. I don't think it's going to be much more than that. But I could be wrong.
A tire, in theory, it should have no problem running a 10. But it would have to be on a proper, like when I say a tire, I mean like a proper drag wheel setup. Skinnies in the front.
I would go for the whole setup. The reason why, and
your car has good axles on it, so yeah, I mean you can really launch the crap out of it.
Do you think?
A little bit careful about slamming the gears. MGW probably help a little bit in there. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm not sure if the lockouts inside of those shifters, like basically not the lockouts, but all these shifters basically have like a gate that it runs into, so that you can't overextend the shifter. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that helps on S550s or not with breaking shift forks, but I remember a lot of the ones we used to install back in the day on the older ones would have little set screws that you can, adjust, keep it from breaking stuff.
I don't shift hard often.
Steve, you use and enjoy riding the Yamaha on the street. If not, and you believe you will not use it either much on track, do you plan on keeping it or selling it? To be honest with you, recently I was considering selling it, but I owe so much on the bike that it would pretty much be like a giving it away, the kind of thing. Like I would have to sell it just to pay off the loan. And I know the answer to your first part of your question is no, I really don't ride much on the street. If a buddy wants me to go ride with them or something, then I'll go ride. But for the most part, I've just learned that they're not really built for the street. It's just, and not in the sense that some sports cars people say that about. I mean, these things really, they're not comfortable. They're hard as a rock to sit on, and they're stupid fast. And I just don't really get any enjoyment out of riding something like that, just putting around on the street. I want to do stupid stuff. So, but I think at this point I've planned to pretty much just keep it and probably do 2 to 3 track days a year on it. I'm okay with that. It's that much fun that I'm okay with that.
You are a brave man to do that track stuff at that speed. But I mean, it's certainly not just being brave, it's being skilled too. I mean, you've been doing things like this for years, but damn, dude, you were going speeds.
My skill level on a bike is nowhere near what it is in the car.
Right. But
But I
still,
still, yeah, I mean, I grew up racing BMX and riding dirt bikes, and like I've always been on two wheels. So yeah, I mean, I know how to ride probably better than the average everyday rider. But when you get on the track, then all of a sudden those odds, I guess you would call them, change quite a bit, and you're surrounded by better
yeah.
riders.
Well, still
I mean, what
coming.
you guys saw in that track video, that was novice group. Those were beginner riders. So the fact that I have so many laps on that track in a car gives me a huge advantage over all those guys that really not only are new to tracking motorcycle, they're new to tracking in general. They've never been on that track. They're learning the track. They're learning the corners. I mean, I've been around that track 15 seconds a lap faster than what I've been. So it's almost like I'm going slow.
Yeah, but you don't have anything around you, so you're
True.
certainly
I
in more
mean,
jeopardy.
and granted, that's what kept me from going 15 seconds a lap faster because realistically, the bike, I'm sure with a pro driver, and that's kind of a good point because, in a car, there's not a super big difference between me and a pro driver. You're probably looking out on a fairly technical track, 2-3 mile track, you're probably looking at about a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap for a quick pro faster than me. On a motorcycle, that bike is probably faster than the car if we were talking pro rider. So, I'm probably 20 seconds a lap off the pace of what a pro rider would do on that bike. I mean, that gives you a little idea of how big of a difference we're talking about.
But that doesn't discount you hanging on to the trainer guy, to the
Yeah,
instructor
but
there.
he's setting the pace for me. So like what he was doing was he was obviously impressed with my pace compared to the rest of the group, and that's why he kind of singled me out, tapped his tail, and was like, "Hey, kind of hang on." He wanted to see what kind of pace I could put up with, and that was when after that session he was like, "Yo, I think you're pretty much smashing everybody out here. I think you need to move up to intermediate group."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was just he wasn't going 100%. He was turning it up a little bit, looking back, seeing, okay, he's kind of still there. Let me turn it up a little more. Okay, he's still there. I mean, but he was not, definitely wasn't going 100%.
Right. Well, still, just looking at the GoPro footage, obviously that you had up online, and hearing the bike's got a nice, unique sound to it. It's just so badass, and the amount of leaning over you were doing in either direction. That was not me when I was riding a sport touring
I still
bike.
haven't scraped. My goal for that weekend was to scrape a knee for my first time, and I didn't
Intentionally?
get to do it. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's part of like track riding, is you kind of use your knee to gauge your lean angle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And most guys with one cheek off the bike, leaning in the direction you're turning, with your knee pointed out. Most guys, that's pretty much where you'll say that's your max lean angle.
Damn.
But really, there was a couple things that got in my head during the weekend and just wouldn't let me reach that goal. One was that guy had gone down, chasing me, and that kind of got in my head a little bit. And then I was kind of gauging where my suspension is set up on the bike. So you'll put like zip ties on the top of the fork stroke, and then as the fork comes down and compresses, it'll push the zip ties down, and that way you can see how much of the stroke you're using.
Right.
Well, I'm a bigger guy. I'm 220 pounds, close to. So I believe that I need a little bit more compression force. I need to adjust the compression on the bike, because after I set up the zip tie little dealio, I noticed that I literally had like that much play left of stroke, and they say you want to leave at least like a 20 millimeter witness. And as you get faster, it's going to get worse. You know what I mean? As you get faster and you go into the corners harder and you brake harder, you're going to compress the suspension even more. So once I saw after that one session where I was pretty much pushing close to what I felt my limit was, I kind of got in my head and thought, okay, your suspension is not set up properly, and you probably shouldn't be going any harder than you already are.
Yeah,
So,
well, you know, I don't know. To me, you were ripping. But, you're talking about someone that's never scraped a knee, at least intentionally, and someone that was very reluctant to lean over because of, an accident I had when I was a kid. I really screwed up my right leg when I was a kid. So I was never really one to lean into turns too much. And I never had a full sport bike.
see, to me, that's what's fun on a motorcycle is the turning. I
It
mean,
is.
granted, they accelerate unbelievably well, but you can't even like on a track like Barber, you cannot use that. And I would even beg to, I would probably bet that even a pro rider, you just can't use the amount of power that that bike has on that track. Man, I mean, at Road Atlanta, yeah, on that back straight, you could probably definitely get her wide open for a moment, but that bike is just so fast, and you're by the time you're coming out of a corner, the bike's leaned over. You're still you got to get it back over to the left because the next corner's a right, so you're leaned over a lot more than you would think. By the time you can actually straighten the bike totally up and really get in it, I mean, you're pretty much at the next braking zone.
Well,
And it's so fast that you just can't. I mean, I was pretty much getting to the point where rolling out of the corners, I was rolling onto the gas hard enough to where the front end was just picking up off the ground and bouncing, and kind of causing a little head shake.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I was close to at the limit of how hard I could accelerate out of the corners. It's
Well,
just
I
a
don't know.
matter
It
that
was
speed in the next corner, and then my actual mid corner speed is way down from like an advanced rider because I'm just not getting the lean angle. I'm not confident in the ability to lean the bike over that far yet.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tipped over a bike 25% of what you've done. It was never a thing for me, and
Yeah,
everyone's
and I'm
got their
sure like
limitations.
anything else, like video doesn't serve it any justice. Like when you watch videos of guys canyon carving or on track and they're straightening knees and elbows, like when you're on the bike, I haven't even scraped the knee yet. I did scrape a foot. I haven't even scraped the knee yet, and I feel like my chin is like almost on the ground. Like that's how when you get it leaned over, man, I'm like thinking to myself, like, how could I lean over any further than this?
I think there's something that a taller rider experiences that, say, someone that's 5'8" is not
That
going
could
to
be part
experience.
of it.
Because I always felt like,
I mean, a lot of the riders are jockeys in the sense that like most of the guys are out there like smaller dudes, 5'9", 5'10".
right,
But I mean, there's bigger dudes out there, and that's not an excuse because I mean there was a guy out there that was probably as tall as me, pushing 300 pounds in the advanced group, and he was dragging a knee around there all day long. So
wow, yeah.
yeah,
Now, I'm not saying
but
that's
I'm sure it
gospel,
does
but
add some difficult,
to me, I felt like being taller and leaning over, it just felt like I was so much further than I really was over. It created some illusion in my head, which scared the shit out of me, and then I just said, "We're not doing that anymore."
Yeah, that's so true about like 1,000 cc bikes and people. I wish everybody, because most people don't really ride, or most people haven't really experienced like modern 1,000 cc motorcycles. I wish everybody could at least feel that one time, so you
It's
understand
crazy.
like
It's a
how
crazy power.
fast those things are. I mean, like the best way I always try to put it, because a lot of people understand drag racing and ETs and trap speed and stuff like that. Like that R1, the R1M. There's a video on YouTube. You can check it out. They took a bone stock factory showroom R1M and ran it into the nines at over 150 miles per hour. That's
Wow.
parachute speed for a car. 150 miles an hour in a car requires a parachute. That's how fast that thing is.
And it probably stops very well too.
It does, but you know what? Like it's weird, man, because I'm so used to tracking cars at the higher level, and the way we stop a car, the way we scrub speed, and we don't stop cars obviously on track. You scrub speed, but The way you scrub speed in a car is so much different than the way you have to scrub speed on a bike on track. Like
Define
in a
scrubbing.
car,
Define
and
that.
I've been trained by, I've had coaching with pro drivers, so I'm pretty well aware on how to do this the proper way. But in a car, we basically go straight to ABS and then just slightly back, just a hair. So, and it's almost the exact opposite of that on a bike. On a bike, you really have to progressively, squeeze your way to max braking. And I think it just has to do with the way the bike transfers weight, and a bike will nose over. Like you can't,
Right.
in a car you can just smash on the pedal straight to ABS and then just try to get right out of ABS. Like you just want to be right on the verge of ABS for max braking. But you can get to it really quickly and abruptly. On a bike, if you were to try to do that, in theory, you'd probably go end over end and be eating some pavement.
Yeah. No question. You would go end
Yeah,
over
if
end,
you
or it would
smash the
tail
front
out, or
brakes
what?
on a bike at full speed, it's going to flip over. So
I've,
yeah, they do stop well because they're so light, but it's just if it's such an awkward feeling for me personally to not be able to really grab the brakes really forcefully.
Well, again, it's opposite what you're doing in a car. So, but I wanted
Yeah.
to step back. Define what scrubbing speed is, because I'm not. I mean, obviously, it has to do with slowing down, but specifically, what do you mean by that? I mean, is that's the way you stop in a car on a track? But what is that?
I just use that term because you don't ever stop on track. So the goal is never to stop; it's to scrub speed.
Okay.
You come out of a corner, you hit a straightaway, you're doing 130 miles an hour, and for the next corner, you can only go through there 45 miles an hour. So you have to scrub enough speed to get through that corner at 45 miles an hour.
I see. All right. So it's more like,
And that's the one thing, like, if there's one thing that doesn't come through on track video, like, really doesn't come through, it's braking. I would say, and it's weird because I would say on track, the most noticeable and aggressive motion on track is braking by far. You brake harder than you accelerate, you brake harder than you corner. But it's the one thing on video that you almost can't even sense is happening.
Well,
It's just weird.
is there a side angle or something like where you could point a camera down by a tire so it sees the road to
I
give
was thinking,
better
and I think about this a lot
impression?
as a YouTuber, like how to grasp better the concept of what's actually happening in the car, and if you were riding along in the car. And one thing I thought of that would be of advantage would be having cameras facing the driver and/or passenger, because let's say I had footage of us accelerating down a straightaway, and then all of a sudden when we go to brake, flip to the camera that's aiming at the driver and passenger. That way you can literally see what happens to their bodies when braking, because you just can't see it by looking at the road in front of you.
What about a sign like what if you were fixated on something towards the center of the track, like one of the lines, or where you come around and there's some yellow markings and the curb goes up, or I don't know what any of this is called.
I
So,
just don't think you can sense the scrubbing of speed on video. It's just I can't put my finger on why that is, but you just cannot see it. It's the one thing I noticed when watching all track videos after becoming a track enthusiast and doing a lot of on track stuff. Like braking is the most intense thing that you do on track, and when you watch track videos, you can't even sense that they're braking hard.
well, I don't know. I never really paid attention, but yeah, nothing seems to be too radical. Maybe one on the speedometer, and to show how much it's going to go down, how quickly. I don't know,
Yeah,
reach
but
it.
the human brain just isn't capable of interpreting that. You know what I'm saying? You might say, "Oh, wow, you went from 100," but you're not going to translate that into force, because that's really what it is. It's the force. When you brake the way you brake on track properly, it's an extreme amount of force.
Well, isn't there a meter in the car that you could put on to show you the
Yeah, but
G-forces?
yeah, you could, of course. But does that really translate to you? Like when you see that, do you see like 1.3 Gs and braking and you go, oh my God, like, or do you just go, oh, yeah,
Well,
it's like
there's
the
no
cell
way
phone
to
I read
translate.
in the
There's no way
magazine.
to translate that emotion for sure. However, I mean, just to show the radical difference might be. There's got to be some way to show it.
I would
That's
just like to get a better grasp on the aggressiveness of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would
sure.
just like to somehow portray how aggressive it is on track. You know, when you watch videos, like I remember when I was a novice track guy, like when I first started tracking, I would not only watch my videos in disgust, but other people would
No,
watch my video. I would tell them about it. I would, I'd do my first couple track days, and I'd come back and I'd be like, "Dude, it was amazing. I was fun. You wouldn't believe it." And then here, watch the video, and like they're like, "This looks like a drive on the highway." Like it just doesn't. Especially when you're a novice guy and you're really not getting around track too hard. But to you in real life, it's a blast. You're having a lot of fun. You're driving faster than you've ever driven in your life. You watch the video and you're just like, dude, it looks like I'm not even moving.
now, when you watch professional videos of professional folks, do you still get that sense of, underwhelming feeling when you see
I
that?
think there's a serious lack of professional track footage out there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Like
something I
outside
look
of
for,
like
so I wouldn't
Motor
know. But
Trend and like those guys, and even them, they don't really do a whole lot of like trying to give you a grasp of the speed. They do like they just do time compare. They give you data. They say, here's a lap time comparison. Here's the last 10 cars we tested here and what they did. You know what I'm saying? One of
right.
my goals with YouTube, man, is I want to try to figure out a way to make people feel more like they're experiencing it. You know what I mean? Bring a little bit more excitement to and don't get me wrong, I know I haven't accomplished that in any way, shape, or form yet, but it's something that I'd like to work towards.
Well, it's got to be difficult because it's hard to communicate, like you said, force. It's also hard to communicate emotion, through a video, other than obvious crying or laughter or something. But the adrenaline rush, the things that you're feeling, are on another level than a daily driver. Even you're never going to pull stunts like this on the street often without getting into some serious trouble. And where could you really do some of these things? Perhaps some mountain roads that are,
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. There's some really select places throughout the country and here in the United States that, you know, some lucky people have access to.
sure, but I mean that's not.
But
It's
yeah,
not
for
in
the
every city, every town.
most part, yeah. Like I grew up in Florida, there was literally nowhere to drive. I think that's why too. It took me so long to really, because I always had like a special like from the other side kind of thing for the track, the road course thing. But growing up in Florida, man, like it's nothing but straight flat roads everywhere, and most of the other people are all into drag racing. It's kind of just like that's all you can do is you can go out and you can run roll races or you can run street races or go to the drag strip. There are a few tracks down there, but I grew up in South Florida. There wasn't really anything other than like BBIR has a little road course and just never really. I guess there was when I came up to Tennessee and then like I bought the S550. We have back roads here, and that's where I really realized like, man, this is where the fun is.
Right.
I bought my S550. I was going to the drag strip. I was doing the bolt on thing, playing that whole game. And like really I realized I was having more fun with the car, like just driving it back roads on a nice desolate road, not really going crazy or anything, but just enjoying the car, driving not at a slow pace, but also not really even at an illegal pace, just kind of having a good time, driving quickly around the corners. I
Yeah,
was
I know the feeling.
more
I
fun
have
going to the
similar
drag strip
roads.
or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I have similar roads, and I mean, there's a loop around my house that's maybe 7 miles that has plenty of S's, and it's just fun. That car is a lot of fun, and I'm sure an NA one is just as much fun. And I'm sure a 10-speed is fun as hell too. I mean, I haven't experienced it yet, but the car just is fun in general, and there's a hell of a lot more roads for me to discover in Georgia. I just haven't done it, for obvious reasons, but I will get there. I will definitely get there. Let's circle back to drag racing for a minute if you don't have any more questions.
Yeah, one more real quick. Steve, could I hire you as a track instructor? Just a future thought. I do instructing. I actually recently got my instructor certification. I need to start upgrading levels. It goes all the way from level 1 to level 5. I believe level 5 is like a chief instructor and basically certifies you to put on your own events and instruct at them. It's kind of a new thing. A lot of these instructors aren't even certified. They're kind of just grandfathered in because that was kind of the old way of doing things. But depending on where you are, yeah, I could definitely help you out. Also, if you're familiar with iRacing online, I can do coaching on iRacing. And also, I do plan on eventually, hopefully this year, we'll have our first event, hopefully, where I'm going to put on, kind of like a private track day for subscribers, and then really anybody that wants to attend. But yeah, that's where I'm in Tennessee. There's a really popular road on the Tennessee-North Carolina border known as the Dragon Tail, or the Tail of the Dragon. I believe they call it also Deal's Gap. I haven't been out there yet, but something I really want to take the bike there, to be honest with you.
That's got to be crazy. I've heard plenty about it.
Yep, I'm the same way, Ben. Like I started out with the S550, and that was over the last 5 years. My whole car attitude has changed 100%. All I ever wanted was a really fast street car that I could take to the drag strip and maybe would handle good, because I always had kind of a love for that. And then I decided to track, and I believe the first thing I ever did was I autocrossed the 15. And I was really good at it. I was beating everybody. And then I decided to do a track day. And then before I could even do a track day, the GT350 came out. I tried to get an R, couldn't really get for just a regular GT350. And I bought that car. I had my first track day already booked. So I went and I did that track day. And literally after that first track day, I knew I was doing one of two things. I was either taking that GT350 and turning it into an all-out track car, because same thing, I really didn't even care to drive on the street anymore, or I was going to go after the R. So I gave it one last shot to see if I can get an R, and luckily that worked out for me. I did end up securing an allocation for it the following year, and that car has been a track car since day one. It's never really seen. Matter of fact, it hasn't had a license plate on it, and probably close to a year now.
You still have to keep regular insurance on it, right?
I do have insurance on it, obviously, because what it is, and also because it has a loan out still. But other than that, I mean, I have not renewed the tag in over a year. It's just it's a similar way to the way I feel about the bike now. It's when I ride a sport bike. You guys call them crotch rockets, whatever you want to call it. When I ride that kind of bike on the street, I feel like I'm in jail, like I'm in prison. I'm handcuffed or something. I just have all I want to do is let it loose. I want to feel the power. I want to get into the corners, and you know what I mean? I just don't. It's not any fun anymore. Once you've experienced these things the way they're meant to be experienced, it totally does kind of ruin it for the everyday experience.
I think the novelty of it wears off when you drive it every day. And I'm not even joking about my own situation, but when you drive something like that every day.
Oh, yeah, you do appreciate it a lot more. That's for sure. I haven't gotten to drive the GT350R since my last track day, and right now I am literally fiending like a crackhead.
Right, because you just got done with the GT.
Oh, man, 2-3 more weeks.
Yep. And that's end of April, right? That's with Vin is going with you, right?
Yep.
Tunnel Chaser.
Yeah, it would have been cool if we could have had him on tonight. We could have.
Yeah, he said he was working late, and
You should
unfortunately,
text him. Tell him to get on here.
I mean, he didn't. I mean, I could be a lot nice. I was nice. Maybe I shouldn't be so nice. Is that how it works?
Nice. Fuck him.
All right. Well, then I'll say Steve said, "F you." Get on here. Get on here.
He's probably watching silently.
He might be. He might be. In all seriousness, yeah, we will be having guests. It's just securing folks on, I don't know, sometimes short notice, sometimes not. Everyone's so busy, which, I mean, I'm not, obviously, but everyone else who's got things to talk about is. But I got a few other things in the works for guests. I'll get that happening eventually.
Yeah, just honestly, Italian Stang, like a PP1 there's no way that it's only 1 second a lap slower than a GT350. Like, no way. Put it like this, like and again, like, I know what pros run in these cars because I've seen it and I've had them in my cars. My performance pack 2018 on our compound blades was 9 seconds a lap slower than my 350R around the same track, same day. A highly skilled driver.
That's big.
Now, granted, the R is quite a bit quicker than a GT350 due to the tires, but it's really, in all honesty, on a 2 to 3 mile track, it's about 3 seconds a lap. So that would say that the it was on R compounds. If you take away the R compounds, it kind of makes it a wash, is what I'm saying. The 350R is 3 seconds a lap or so faster than a 350, but the 18 was on R compounds, which is probably 3 seconds a lap or so faster than the Pilot Sport 4Ss that came on the car. I mean, I've had other people in the car too, in both cars, and they'll agree with me and tell you that it's a night and day noticeable difference between the two cars on track, and that's on our compounds, it's still night and day. I would suspect it's more like 6 to 7 seconds a lap between EP1 and GT350. Keep in mind that the new GT350s are now going to be coming with Cup 2s, so it's going to be lights out. Cup 2s and better aero. And a better ABS logic. There's quite a few things. From what I understand, the new GT350 with the Cup 2s equipped is going to be basically on par with an R.
I saw the advertisement for that, and there's a couple subtleties on that car that it is freaking. If you thought it was nice before, it is even nicer now. It is. There's often times I'm like, maybe I need to trade my Stang in, and as well as the Jeep, and get one of those.
Yeah, those 3Rs are badass, man. Those 3R tires are sweet. But what you were saying, you're going to get rid of the Jeep?
Well, thanks, honey. Not yet, but I'm thinking about it. I'll bring that story in. But talking about the new GT350, the 19s.
Yeah, well, actually,
they're just nice.
You just brought up a reminder here. There's a video that's been out for a little while. We've even touched on it a little bit. Somehow I missed the beginning of this video, and there's a few little technical tidbits in there that I haven't really even seen anybody talk about.
Which, on the 350 or the 500?
On the 500.
Okay. Because that video I texted you today is the first video I've seen with the hood open. Which, it's been out for a bit.
That is the first video, I believe, with the hood open. We have seen a couple little pictures here and there, but that was the first video with the hood open. But in that video that I'm referring to, he came out and said that on a 2.5 mile track that he wasn't going to name, that the 500 was over 4 seconds a lap faster than the R. than the 350R, which that's pretty significant right there. And from what I've gathered in my experience, the ZL11LE on a 2.5 to 3 mile track is about 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds faster than an R. So going on them same calculation, it should be a solid second or so faster a lap than the L11LE, which is quite impressive.
Let me inject. Vince said Monday and Tuesdays are very late nights for him at work, so no go tonight. Maybe we'll do a special night.
Yeah, we could do that maybe one night.
I mean, I got nothing to do, so. But it'd be nice to have you and him because you'll be helping him track shortly. That was the whole point of having him on. That was one of the things I wanted him on for.
Yeah, thanks for watching, man. We enjoyed doing them. So as long as you guys are watching, we'll keep doing them.
Yep. And topics will, kind of be scattered as they will be tonight. But hell, what did you think of that Town and Country video? I mean, it's pretty much what you expected under the hood. What I didn't see is any badging on the supercharger.
Yeah, that was obviously a pre-production car, so right. It wasn't completely finished under the hood. There was a couple things that I would complain about, but I'll hold off on that until I see that is final product. Because, like you said, based on the fact that the supercharger was unfinished, I'm not just going to jump down their throat and say, "Hey, what the hell? Why does this look like that or that look like that?" But to me, the airbox looks a little bit second thought-ish or unfinished.
Yeah, I like the scoop. That large,
and
black
that is why that airbox. In case anybody's wondering why that's a closed airbox, that is why. It's because of that hood extractor.
Yep.
What'll happen is that thing will pull so much air as it will depressurize the airbox. That's why if you notice the GT4 race cars that have like the same type of hood venting, they have closed airboxes. If you notice on the 350R, they have a open box, but the hood, it only has a very small little hole in the center, and there's no outside extractors. Same thing on the, another example of that would be, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but on the Bullet Stang, it does have both. Now that car has the GT350 cold air intake on it, which is an open air box.
Right.
What a lot of people don't know is that the driver's side heat extractor is actually, so that's how they got away with the open air box on that one.
Right.
But that's why I tell a lot of people, like on these cars, like, I'm not totally against open air boxes, but you have to understand some of the engineering here, and you have to make changes. If you want to run an open air box on an 18 GT or even in a 15 to 17 GT, you should definitely close off that driver's side heat extractor, because that thing was there intended for a closed air box. So number one, when you wash the car, it rains, it's spilling water all over the filter. And number two, when you're doing more than 30 miles an hour, you're probably hurting horsepower because it's literally extracting the air out of that box faster than it's coming in.
Right, and that's probably making turbulence and all kinds of other issues.
Yeah, turbulence. I mean, just depressurizing. I mean, the whole point of ram air, and these cars come from the factory with ram air, is you're pressurizing the air box. You know what I'm saying? Once you go to an open box that's supposed to seal against the hood, and then you have an extractor in the hood with a hole in it, you've totally defeated the purpose.
Yeah, not good. Not a good thing. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with cold air intakes. I don't currently use one. I may never, but one of the things I wanted to ask you, and I think it just got answered, is, you see these guys that run these oversized cold air intakes, right? That are like way bigger than the throttle body opening. And is it because there's more air waiting to get in there, or does it create more force Because I mean, it wouldn't make sense to. You can't cram 10 pounds of crap down a 5 pound bucket easily. You know what I mean?
The turbulence, okay, you always have to look at which way the air is coming or going, I guess you could say. So when you're dealing with forced induction or positive pressure, that is definitely an issue. When you have a smaller throttle body and a larger inlet tube, if you're dealing with positive pressure, then that's an issue because you're forcing the air down towards the throttle body and then it hits a wall. This tube's bigger than the throttle body and that air hits a wall. But an engine is a vacuum pump. You know what I'm saying? And on a naturally aspirated engine, I do believe that that's a non-issue, what you're referring to, because you have to remember the engine's actually pulling the air in.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems to be that the larger, I mean, there's like so many damn guys that put these supersized things on there, and they'll dyno test better.
Is like take a straw and then like fit two straws together and then fit a bigger straw on the outside. If you're pulling through it, you'll get more flow with the bigger straw. You know, so if you have a little straw and then a big straw. If you're pulling through it, you're sucking through, you'll get a better flow with the bigger straw on the end.
Sure.
But if you're blowing through it, then you might end up in, taking away some flow potential. If that makes sense.
It makes sense to me because just talking about what we were talking about made me understand that, like you said, that there's a vacuum, so there's more available air in these way oversized, cold air intakes.
Yeah, the inlet tubes were larger diameter.
Yeah, but and I always was thinking, how the heck does that make a difference? Well, because it's not having the same size tube. It's got more air to suck down, and it's just coming down there faster, mixing better, and creating more power. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the air the engine is a vacuum pump, so you could just look at like one straw. If you try to breathe through a straw, it's harder to breathe. If you take the straw away, it's easier to breathe, and that's the same concept by putting a larger intake tube on. The engine's trying to breathe in, and by putting a larger intake tube on, it's capable of breathing easy. Just, to really oversimplify it.
Yep. I've never even had my air intake.
Ben, I have talked to my dealer. I've actually been working with my dealer on the GT500 allocation for about 4 years now. So hopefully all goes well with that situation and they stick to their word and give me their first allocation. But I do have rights to the first allocation from my dealer, hopefully.
No more than 5 ADM, you think?
Well, yeah. That one, I don't know the end of that one yet. I thought I did. We agreed on, basically sticker. But as the car started to become a reality, I don't know if they're basically saying now that we can't guarantee a price yet, but I will get the first option.
I tell you right where I'd go, man. I'd go right to where Tunnel Chaser bought his car because that was a deal.
Yeah. One thing you have to understand, a lot of people bring up that deal. One thing people don't understand is we're 3 years into the game already.
Right. But still, there's still guys asking ADM on a car like that, And I'm hearing, you mentioned the Bullet.
That dealer, I can guarantee you, was asking ADM on that R in particular originally, and not only that, I guarantee you, like their first allocation, second or third allocation, they actually got ADM, guaranteed.
Right. Well, there are some specifics
you have to understand
of the deal.
The deal that he got was based on we're 3 years into the game, and everybody that had to have one right away, they got one and they paid over sticker for it. So you're running low on guys that are willing to pull 10, 15 grand over sticker out of their pocket and buy the car. Like, who does that 3 years into the game? Really, think about it.
Well, you got a good point. I'm not so sharp these days. So, I mean, it didn't think through it that far. I'm not thinking they had this thing. I'm just seeing ADM, and sometimes I'll read the forums, and I'll see guys talk about ADM. And the one car that came up was the Bullet. And the one guy said, yeah, dude, they only want 2,000 over over
The
MSRP, and I'm
bullet's
going,
ridiculous. But like anybody that should, nobody should. I would never call anybody an idiot for paying over because you do what you want to do with your money. But nobody should be paying over sticker for that car.
no, they had
There's
them under sticker at my dealer, literally. I mean, at least $2,000 at the time, and I think it's more now.
Yeah, but
So I mean,
the thing with the R is, and I can always kind of say in their defense, like with the R in particular, not just the regular GT350, but the R, there's a lot of things that you get with that car that you just can't cross shop. You can't just go somewhere else and buy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what is that argument on the Bullet? Like it's literally it's a nothing. It's a G. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the guys that are like the nostalgia-ness behind the Bullet or whatever, but there's nothing special about that car. It's a GT with like a different intake manifold and the air intake on it, and they give you Recaros with some different stitching on them.
right, some green.
You get a proprietary paint color. Like there's nothing really super special about that car.
Actually, it really isn't. And what's funny is
there aren't even any parts to that car that you can't get on another car. Like there's nothing.
there's some. It's got chrome instead of black molding. Now
Well,
I don't know why you'd want that, but
you can't get those wheels on anything but a Bullet. But are those wheels that desired? Like, does anybody?
I don't know
are
that
they
they're.
Are all these companies going to start making replica Bullet wheels like they do with the 350Rs and stuff? I mean, actually, that's probably a dumb question. Yeah, they probably will.
Yeah,
But
they've been.
you know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing special about that car. It's a bunch of Ford performance parts essentially. Like that's literally the stage 2 Ford performance kit that you can buy.
I was just going to say that. Essentially, that's what it is.
It comes with the Ford performance. It's a GT with the Ford performance kit on it.
Slightly different muffler tune.
They paint the calipers for you. You know what I mean? Like you get the Brembos, they're in red instead of the regular color, which is nice. I love the red calipers.
There's a couple of. I don't like the two colors.
Recaros in my car. Matter of fact, I would take my red Recaros over those any day. But I don't know. I just can't imagine paying over sticker for something like that. Like for me, it was justifiable with the 350R. For me personally, first of all, I only paid $3,000 over for mine.
That's nothing, man.
Yeah, I was willing to go. I wanted to stay under 10,000 over, so I was willing to go. I guess around 10,000 over at the time. But carbon fiber wheels, the wing, that wing at the time was, it probably still is $5,000 to $7,000 from Ford.
Jeez.
That splitter's like a couple grand from Ford. And I knew that I was going, like, if anybody was a good customer for the R, it was me, because I was now in the market for an all-out track car. I was no longer in the market for a street car. I wanted a car that was for the track. And I thought that the ADM in some ways is justifiable. If we're talking 20,000 over sticker, no way, which is what a lot of people did pay. But 5,000 over sticker for a car that most people are never even going to get to buy, and it's got a lot of special stuff on it that you can't get. You can't open the Ford catalog and buy it. Like, yeah, I thought it was justifiable.
No, I mean it is. You could pull the rims. You could pull. You don't have to, but you could pull certain things off, preserve them, use other similar things, and roll with that car. And what do you need to do to that car other than personalize it? It's ready to whip ass the way it is. That's the way it's built. So I can't say 3,000. 3 to 5 to me is acceptable.
I mean, I honestly,
it's getting stupid.
I think, okay, also for the price that the R came in at, I do think, and that's why I was willing to go to 10,000. I think at 10,000 over, you weren't like an idiot. Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? At 10,000 over, the car was with the electronics package, which is basically the only option other than like black roof, shit like that, stripes. But, the electronics package was the only option, right? Essentially, mine does have a black roof and the electronics package, so it's about as expensive as you can option one. There's $67,000. At 10,000 over, you're at $77,000. That car at 77 grand, I'm telling you, is a good buy. It's not a bad buy.
And they can't sell Z01s at the same pace. And that you just drove is arguably almost as good, you know, and it's kind of strange.
Yeah, like I've always said, man, the Mustang has a special following behind it. There's just something special about to people, not just to me, like Mustangs, man. I don't know. I mean, I know what it is. I feel the same way, but I can't put my finger on why it's so different because I've said this before multiple times on the channel. I'll always be a Mustang guy, and Mustangs will always be where my heart is. But right now, today, like the sexiest car, like that I could afford anyway, not the sexiest car on the planet, but the sexiest car that I could afford, my favorite looking car, and just everything about it is the Z06. I just think it's a freaking absolutely gorgeous car.
Z06 is a
And the
badass.
performance level that it comes with for the price that you can get one for is really, can't imagine why they don't outsell the hell out of
Now,
Mustang.
perhaps the bad rap, perhaps they're overpriced. You know, like we talked about, they're giving away
I don't think
Corvettes.
they are overpriced though. If you look at the look of the car, like I mean, it has a very exotic supercarish look. You know what I mean? Like a C7 Z06. It's a very supercarish looking car.
I don't
Performance of the
deny
car
that.
is
It's
up
just
there with some of the best out there. So for $100,000 or less, I don't think it's overpriced. I really don't. And it's surprising to me that when they release a $70,000 350R, people are willing to pay 20,000 over sticker all day for it, 90 grand, but they can't push they have to discount the Z06s by 10 grand to push them out the door. I don't understand.
yeah, I don't either. I don't get it either. It makes no sense.
It really
Makes no
doesn't.
sense. But their GM is doing what they can to move Corvettes and Camaros as well. Those are
I mean,
great.
maybe that is it because if you look at the big picture, Chevrolet has to push Camaro and Corvette.
Yep.
And really nowadays, like you're definitely, I would say back in the day, it was probably a bigger separation between the people that were shopping those cars. You know what I'm saying? Like between people that would potentially buy a Camaro versus potentially buying a Corvette. Nowadays, I think you're cross shopping those two cars as a Chevy guy.
Absolutely. It's either, I mean, it's either you want something with a slightly discounted rate and this back seat, we'll call it, and nothing as low.
So
But you
maybe
get
that's
a
what it
whip-ass
is.
car and a Camaro, man.
They're pushing two badass cars. Like,
And they shouldn't have to
also
be.
come with trim levels. You got Z06s, you got Grand Sports, you got the ZR1, you got the regular Stingray, and you have Camaro ZL1, you have Camaro ZL1 1LE, the all-out track car. You know what I mean? Then you have the SSs and the SS1LE. I mean, you have a lot of different trims and a lot of different shit to push.
I just got a question maybe you can answer. Obviously, you won't be able to get specifics, but question popped up. I wonder how much Shelby gets out of it for the name. So you talk about Shelby this, Shelby that. They still have to have a huge
I can't
portion
remember
of
the
it.
exact numbers here, but I remember reading something a while back that Ford had the rights to the Shelby name for like another 10 years or something like that. So they must have bought the rights to the name for like a determined amount of time.
Then how can there be this other Shelby stuff that's making Shelby rims or is it Carroll Shelby rims?
That's Shelby America.
Is that a
Well, a lot
separate
of people
entity?
really don't understand that the Shelby products from Ford really technically aren't Shelby products. I mean, Shelby is its own entity and has always been its own entity and builds its own post-title vehicles off of Ford vehicles. The GT500 through Ford is technically just over 10 years old. It originated in 2007. It really has no relation to the actual Shelby cars. Matter of fact, the Shelby cars have ran alongside and then existed alongside since then. So like the what is it, the 2018 Super Snake or whatever, that's the Shelby product. That's the actual Shelby product.
Yeah, that car is about 100,000 right there, I think. And you know, you could argue or question whether it's worth it or not, but pin that car
This
up
is why
against.
I've prayed that Ford would drop the whole shit, because only because it's not that I have anything against Shelby name. It's just confusing for a lot of other people. A lot of people, it's just confusing. There's two different Shelbys, and what the hell's what? And
Well,
who
it
gets?
is, and the more Shelby stuff, the more diluted it gets
But
too.
I
But
prayed that Ford would just drop the whole Shelby thing and just go back to the Cobra thing, because it makes better sense, and then it allows Shelby to do what they've always done. It's take the Cobra product and then make the Shelbys out of them. Instead of basing, like the last few years, they've been building GTs into Super Snakes. Where like from '07 to 13, they take the actual Shelby product and they turn that into a Super Snake at Shelby America. And I'm sure we're going to see the same thing with the GT 500.
no
And
doubt.
that's you're going to see $150,000 plus close. We're going to see a Mustang close to 200 grand, because once Shelby gets their hands on the GT 500 and they do a Super Snake version of it, I mean, you got to figure if you're going to pay 90, 100 grand for a GT 500, they're going to charge you every bit of 50 grand for their package. You're looking at 150 grand for Mustang.
Yeah, and that's getting crazy. And I mean, in my opinion, 100 is crazy for, you know,
Yeah, it'll be over 1,000 horsepower.
it's that'll be crazy,
It's
and we'll see that happen
completely unusable
soon.
on street.
Yep. So if this is a good time, I want to swing back to drag racing for a minute. I just hope I can remember what the hell I was going to ask you. Jeez. Okay. Oh, I know what it was. Once the issue is identified, whatever it may be, is it your plan to get back this weekend or the following weekend to try and flush out this 150 shot and put that to bed?
This is what I do, man. I do this shit all day, every day.
No, I understand. I just didn't know if you were going to do it that soon, weather permitting. Okay.
I do what I can do as soon as I can do it. So it's like if the track will allow me to get back out there this weekend, and the car will allow it, then that's when I'll be back out there.
Damn, dude. I need to find out how to get to you because I just don't know how that can happen.
I mean, you could always ship if you really wanted to do it that way. Like, you could always ship the car up here. I found some good. They have that like youshipit.com. You just
Oh yeah, I got a number of ways to get you the car.
$1,000, but then they bid on it back and forth, and next thing you know, like I got my bike shipped all the way from Florida up here for like $400. Wasn't very much at all.
I can get it shipped. It's not the problem. It's just that call it what you want. I don't want it to stay outside. Number one, number two, it's not just shipping you the car. I need to send you several $1,000s as well to do what I want to do, get it ready for the track, and see if you can pull some numbers, and then do everything else. That way.
It would be some make for some cool content, though. That's for sure.
Well, that's why I was hoping you'd come here, but we'll flesh that out when we can. But and it would make for some cool content there, with the exception of, I'd be going to bed because my body's breaking down, and you'd just be getting ready to go rip roaring in through Georgia. So I would have to say, take my cameras, have a good time, and I'll be sleeping. But it's the way I live right now. It's not a big deal. Hell, dude, I'm really like Wednesday is the only nice day this week because today was rain, and it dried out, and then I think tomorrow is rain, and I got to get out in that car. It's just that, as usual, things are not very favorable today, as they always are on Mondays, but probably one of the better Mondays I've had in a while. Okay, so you'll be right back on it with the track, and then is there something that you want closure on with the Mustang GT time-wise to say, okay, I feel I've accomplished the goal with that for now?
Honestly,
switching gears, going right to the track with it.
There is, but it's inevitable. It's tens, man. I've never ran a 10 yet. It's kind of that time that everybody's always talked about. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the holy grail of entry level drag racing. It's not the holy grail of drag racing, but it is in a sense. It's that number that everybody always wants to hit. It's the tens.
Tens are like 12s were 20 years ago. 12s are like 14s.
I still feel like it was 10 then. It's always kind of been the number everybody's always kind of talked about realistically.
Well, I'm going back a bit further.
Yeah, nowadays it's getting faster for sure. What guys are doing, there's probably just as many guys in the nines now as there were in the tens 10 years ago.
I would bet.
But it's still, yeah, for your everyday guy, it's still that talked about number is running a 10. I'd love to get the car to run a 9 before it's all said and done. But I don't want to set that as a goal because realistically, I'm already starting to get to that point where I'm thinking to myself, how much more money do I want to put into this car? I got to keep the content flowing on the channel. Also, I have the 350R. We're going to do some more Terminator stuff before I get rid of it. So,
well, I was going to say, you're going to bring that to the track?
It's not going to be too much of an issue. So I don't want to make any like promises or set any crazy goals like, oh, I have to run a 9 in the car, because at the end of the day, if we're 4 more months away from GT 500, how much more money do I want to spend on that car? Honestly, I'd love to. I wish I had a huge channel and I could just go all out on every new build. But realistically, like, if I can't afford to spend $5,000 more on that car in the next 4 months, because that's coming straight out of GT 500 fund.
Yeah, and I get it. And I mean, in a similar way,
past this point without spending something like that. You know what I mean?
That's a good segue into what I wanted to talk about too. That there's only so much money, right? Whoever you are, whatever you do, whether you work or don't work, there's only so much money for those things that are classified as discretionary, and I don't know, I kind of reach in a little crossroads with my Jeep project that if I put another couple grand into it, I'll be out of the area where I can kind of break even. And then it's like, all right, I might as well do what I want to do beyond fixing it up, but that makes more of a commitment to keeping it. Whereas if I take it back a step and say, today's a good time to sell it, or by the end of May, finished a few aesthetic things that I want to do to make it look nicer and blow it out, end of May, then I have funds to go even further than I talked about. And then, as life changes.
That's what it is. It's like, where do you draw the line? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, really,
but see, I guess
I haven't done much with the car, dude, but the line on the Jeep is a lot clearer to see right now than it is on anything else. You know what I mean?
And the one difference between me and your situation there is, I guess I do have part of me that's like, I know that whatever I do to this car, it's not a total loss. Like, for example, I'm gonna buy that other axle so we can launch the thing on the trans brake. I'm taking those axles off the car when I get rid of it. Like, I'm taking the nitrous off the car. This is what I've done my whole life. I've done this shit. I'm not like quitting. I'm buying the GT 500. It's an expensive car, and I plan to keep a really expensive car. I'm not like rich by any means. So some sacrifices need to be made. Some things need to be pushed around to make all this shit happen. But at the end of the day, I'm not done with like this whole, S550 thing in general. Like, I still have plans for either getting another 18 in the future. It won't be a $52,000 fully loaded, digital dash Recaro out for PT, but it'll be, probably a bare bones base, used 2018 I might pick up and put all these parts back on it. Maybe I'll do something different. Or maybe, I also have plans to build a dedicated track car. The R is a dedicated track car. I plan to build a dedicated race car at some point. So a lot of this depends on how fast we can grow the channel and how well I do for myself. But
I think we've finally seen some growth on your side, and that was the point of this, at least from my perspective. I mean, growth on my side is great. I appreciate my regulars that come, and my content's very sparse. But it was not about me, really. It was about trying to get you a little bit, something different, constant contact. You have a very busy schedule. I have nothing. So for us to do this gives you content. It gives me, it's easier for me to do this than anything.
It definitely helps for me to keep some consistency on the channel. It's a one video a week, every week at the same time. Even if we don't have 100 people in here watching just yet, it's gonna break. It keeps the channel relevant, and more so than just that, it also lets people know that I'm still here. I'm still making content. So
absolutely,
maybe if I don't have a video for a week or two, for whatever reason, I could still update people. Kind of like right now. Like I wanted to release that video from the drag racing this weekend on Sunday, but I have to hold it for a few days so I can make a better video out of it, a more complete, detailed video. And this gives me a chance to update people and still give people a heads up on what's going on. So
that's a good point. And if people are wondering if I've done anything, no, I haven't done a damn thing since the last video. So there's my update.
I honestly, I don't care if there's not 100 people in here every time. There's a few people that are clearly interested in what's going on, and I appreciate that. And that's another reason why I do this. If I can't put out a video like I want to, at least it gives me the opportunity to give people what they're waiting for.
From us, it couldn't be easier. I went a little bit above and beyond with this software, and for some reason, and I think I figured out why it's giving me trouble and not him. But that's a simple fix. We still have goals to blow this up more than our two faces. So it's been tough getting folks. This is a busy time of year, spring break and things.
I'm all for switching days too if we have to. Like whatever if the general consensus is that nobody can really do it on a Monday, maybe Monday's the wrong day for us, because we'd say from day one that we wanted to have guests on the show.
Right.
Well,
the regulars are just busy.
Monday night, it's understandable. Maybe we should switch days, but let's just try to keep a little. My plan was to keep a little consistency for a while.
But we don't want to overlap with someone else's streams. Like for example, I want to get David Van Voris on. He's got a single turbo build. He's got a conflict on Monday. We talked about getting Vin on. Of course, we have to have Michael Mack on. And there's other guys out there, and we just got a good suggestion. Maybe go on a little bit later for the West Coast folks. I haven't
talked to Michael Mack in a little bit. Is he even still... I'm starting to wonder if he's still making videos and stuff.
I haven't seen anything super recent, but we did have some text not long ago.
What I was thinking was I was wondering if he. I meant to hit him up and ask him, did he get rid of his car? Because I saw that his supercharger was taken off the car and he was selling it, and then I saw something on Instagram. It looked like he was driving an F-150. So I don't know if he was.
Well, he was talking about getting an F-150.
And he was talking about getting an F-150.
But I don't know if that means he was getting rid of the car. I can't be clear on that. I can't tell. I'll reach out to him, and if that's the case, hey, honestly, the first thing I'd go after if cars are no good is an F-150. And a 5-liter F-150 with a 10-speed.
You can still make good content with an F-150. For
well,
one,
not to mention, it's going to give me...
the F-150 outsells the Mustang probably 2-to-1 easily.
No doubt.
And so there's a lot more audience for it, I'm sure. But also, the F-150s are no joke, man. You can really build those things to be fast. So.
Dude, my EcoBoost screams for what it is. It's unbelievable how
I love my
quick
truck,
that thing is. The 17 with the 10-speed. Now,
mine doesn't have the 10-speed, but it's the 3.5 EcoBoost. It's quick.
It's quick. It's that was the Gen 2 EcoBoost, and I could mess with it. I'm not gonna, but I would get a 5-liter regular cab, just like stupid fast truck, and possibly 4-wheel drive. I wanted
to get a tune and an intake for that thing since I've gotten it, because I love turbo noise. So I really want to increase the turbo noise, if nothing else.
See, I don't want to touch that thing.
It's so hard juggling. I know I say this a lot, but it's first world problems, right? First world problems.
Of course.
But it's just I'm juggling so much. I have the 350R, the 18, the 03 Cobra, the truck. I have a couple jet skis, the motorcycle. It's so hard to. I wouldn't change anything. You know, I love had like I said, it's what I live for. I love every one of my toys, but
Well,
it is a struggle sometimes when you're like, man, I really want that tune for my jet ski, so it'll do 80, and then but yeah, I need to get an intake for the car, and I need axles, and then the R, I need tires so I can go back to the track, and then the truck needs
speaking of
brakes.
which, you tore the shit out of them tires on that weekend. God damn, dude.
Which ones?
The rear tire on the bike took an ass whipping after one day.
Oh yeah, that's what we do on the
shocked.
track. Man. We destroy tires, literally.
And that's what I really wasn't to someone who's track,
That
naive.
is the hardest pill to swallow as a track guy, is the tire thing, because it's amazing that for something that goes so fast, it's rubber. You know what I'm saying? Like it just shaves away until it's gone. They're so expensive. A good set of track tires for the R cost around $2,000, and I can shave those things to threads in a couple weekends.
Well, like I told you, there's nothing wrong with evolution, changing priorities, but for sure, what's a priority today once that GT500 comes is going to probably take a
Well, Derek
step
Sizemore
down.
just said that he still has the car and he bought an EcoBoost F-150. So do you know, is he planning on getting rid of the car to keep the truck, or is he going to keep both cars? Or the car and the truck, I should say.
Yes, I think 2 tires were blown, right? I'd be freaking if that happened to me.
So yeah, hopefully, right now, basically what I'm doing for the 18 is gonna I'm gonna take down the gap on the spark plugs to under 30,000, probably about 28, 29,000.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that helps.
And
Again, I'm
that's
going to
what
talk
that's
about
what Mike suggested. Not Mike. Power by the Hour suggested.
Palm
Not
Beach
Power by the
Dino?
Hour. Palm Beach Dino. Holy shit.
No, I haven't even really got that far with Rob. He looked at the data log and he sent me back some stuff about jetting and stuff like that. And then I asked him, I just realized that there were too much for me to just discuss an email. It would have been a 3-day process. So I just said, here, can you just give me a call and we can discuss this? And he said he'd give me a call in the morning. So
Yeah.
basically, we're just going to just discuss jetting, because he had sent me a chart for jetting that he likes to use on the Coyote. And long story short, the jetting chart that he sent me would have me would have me go down a fuel jet quite a bit. But when I looked at the log, the car was lean. It definitely wasn't rich.
Mm-hmm.
So
Isn't it typically lean around 85?
no, I mean for E85, it was lean.
Oh, okay.
What I do is I use something called Lambda. Like when you you should really air fuel ratios in Lambda instead of learning 14.7 to 1 for pump gas, or 9.9 for E85. It's easier to just remember that Lambda 1 equals a full burn, which for pump gas again is 14.7 to 1 parts air for every part fuel. So that you don't have to do that conversion, you just use Lambda. And based on that, like the car was lean. So even considering the E85, the car was still lean. Well, I'm not saying it was dangerously lean, but I'm saying it was leaning towards the lean side. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
So the jetting chart that he sent me would have me actually further go down in fuel jet, which would lean the car out even more. So
Which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, exactly. So I want to discuss that with him and see if he was just trying to send me a recommended chart, or if he was saying, no, he wants me to, jet down the fuel jet.
Right.
But again, looking at the log from what I know and air fuel ratio stuff, I understand very well. The car doesn't need a jet change. If anything, if it does need a jet change, it needs a bigger fuel jet. So everything to me is pointing towards the car's misfiring. It's blowing the spark out. Go down on the gap, and hopefully it's a night and day difference. One other
God, I
thing.
hope so, man, because that's a head scratcher. It shouldn't be.
I've literally tried to test this 20 times already because I had that issue with the window switch. So of course I'm weary of it. But I've, with the hood popped and flipping the throttle, smashing it wide open, light revving it, it doesn't matter. It's perfectly accurate every time. That the RPM reads exactly what the dash reads. So
Right.
with parked in the staging lanes and the hood open, the window switch seems to be working perfectly. That doesn't mean that when I close the hood and go down track that all of a sudden it doesn't get some crazy reading and all of a sudden go to 17,000 RPM, because I've seen it do that before. When I had the bad window switch, it would just, Xander saw it. I don't know if he was in here, but Xander saw it before. Like the window switch would just all of a sudden, it would be like reading the RPM, matching the car, 1,000 RPM, and idle 900 or whatever. And then all of a sudden it would say 16,000. And if that happens, it's going to turn the nitrous off because I have it set to spray with between 3,000 and 7,800.
Right.
So if this thing freaks out for a second and says 10,000 RPM, it's going to turn the nitrous off. So my last resort, if this whole spark plug gapping thing and changing the spark plugs, all that stuff doesn't work, and discussing if maybe some different fuel jetting with Rob over at Palm Beach Dyno. If that's not it, my last resort is going to be to move that window switch probably into the interior. Because if nothing else, maybe moving it in the interior doesn't make a change per se, if it's getting a crazy reading.
Right.
But what it will do is it'll allow me to watch it. I can see on the screen what RPM it's displaying.
Right.
So during a pass, if I make another pass and then it starts to do the same thing, it feels like it's just spraying fuel way down on power, it's not right. I can look down, take a peek at that window switch and see what it says. And now I have more data.
So I'm getting questions. How does window switch get the data? Its data to it's something you program in it, right?
The RPM source is coming from the injector.
Okay.
You can use the coil. You can use the injector. I was told to use the injector from Nitrous Express.
How is it connected to read RPM?
Yeah, even when I had the trouble. What's that?
How is it connected to read RPM through the same
That's
method?
how the injector.
The injector.
Every time the injector fires, it's picking up that signal and calibrating the RPM based on that.
Okay.
Calculating, not calibrating. Calculating the RPM based on every time the injector fires.
Good point. Someone's saying, wonder if the DI is messing it up. Well, I mean, possibly, but this other guy earlier and
that's part of the problem is that this thing's mounted under the hood. So once I'm in the car making a pass, I can't see what it's doing.
Right. Is it a bitch to get inside or not really?
No. All the wires, run a bunch of longer wires into the cabin, find somewhere to mount it. I mean, it's not a crazy nightmare or anything.
Well, just another thing on the checklist. But you'll get it.
But the guy that, like I said, the guy that ran the 1080, that subscriber to the channel that set everything up exactly the way I set mine up, his window switch is also underneath the hood, in the engine bay, and 1080 at almost 130 on a 100 chop.
Dude, that's ripping. And there's just something that seems to be missing because, well, I mean, it makes sense though, because you look at Xander and Stangmo were doing those 11.2s, that another 100 horse, 1070, 1080. You're right there, right? You also have to
remember, before you can add the 100 horse from the nitrous, you're losing some power. You're going to colder spark plugs. You're bringing down the spark plug gap, so you're not going to get quite the burn, the efficient burn that you would get with a larger gap.
Right.
And then the tune that you're on to run the nitrous is also pulling timing. So those three things altogether, you're probably losing 20 horse or so before you gain anything. So you have to take that into consideration. But yeah, I mean, 1080 at 130, even though, see, one thing you have to remember about, I bring this up a lot, but I feel like people need to keep this in mind. When you see these 10-second NA cars, show me one that hasn't done it on the trans brake or on a converter.
Did this guy do a trans brake?
No, no, no. Well,
Oh.
this guy's on nitro.
Okay,
I'm saying
excuse me.
the
Yeah,
NA car.
now I'm
So a
missing.
lot of
No,
the guys that are going, well, wait, it goes 1080 on a 100 shot. The guys have gone 1090 on NA. Yes, on the trans brake. Drag races are won within the first 60 to 100 feet. Everybody knows that.
right.
And when you leave on the trans brake, you're playing catch up. And if the guy that's not leaving on the trans brake is playing catch up. So look at the cars that are foot braking NA. They run 11.2, 11.4, 11.5. So let's say 11.2 to 11.5. That's pretty much what most guys run NA. So a 1080 on a 100 shot's a good time on a foot
Sure.
brake. That same 1080 pass leaving on the trans brake, you also have to remember when he leaves on the trans brake, the nitrous is also going to come in earlier because his nitrous is coming in at 3,000. If he leaves on the trans brake at 2,500, the nitrous is going to come in almost immediately, drastically improving his 60 foots and ET. So that
Well-
same 1080 pass leaving on the trans brake is probably a 1050, 1060 all day.
It's going to improve it provided it hooks up, right?
If it hooks up. Yeah, true.
Because there's the biggest question. I need to refill my glass. Give me a minute. You got a question or something you could run with for a minute or two?
Probably not. We're getting to an hour and 41 if you want to wrap this thing up.
Well, we can. It's up to you. I mean, I'm good.
Derek said Michael Mack was talking about buying an S197 drag car. That would be.
That's what's entering my mind partially too, is redirecting the Jeep money to something else.
I just like to see him keep the channel going. I like Michael Mack.
Yes, he is very unique.
I like people that are like that. You know what I mean? Like he's not afraid to say what's on his mind.
I'll be right back before we close it down. Give me a minute.
All right. You got to refill the wine? I got this much beer left, so that's how much time we got left. So I guess that means his car is for sale? Man, I'd like to buy that blower off. If I was keeping the 18, if I wasn't getting the GT500, I would probably definitely consider that. Getting that blower off Michael Mack. Because I'll tell you what, right off the rip, I'm going 9s. Because he went, what, a 10-0 on that setup? Yeah, I'm going straight for axles, drive shaft, leave on the trans brake. We're going 9. You know what I'd have to do? I'd have to go beat demonology with Michael Mack's blower. That would be good, wouldn't it? Keep the scramble button on there. There's no way he's beat. I'm either winning or blowing my car up, one or the other. I'm down to 4 people in here.
Okay, I'm back. I'll make it quick.
Yeah, he went 10-0 on the trans brake. Yeah, I don't think he ever got to leave really hard on the trans brake, though, because he was on stock axles. But still, I mean, 10-0's rolling out. Obviously, the car was 9-second capable. I don't think he never turned that thing up either. You know how I roll.
His belt was slipping when he went 10-0 too.
pulley on it. We're stepping up pulleys right away.
With a beefed
If I
up
had my
drivetrain,
choice,
yes.
well, if I had my choice and money was no object, it's turbo. But if I had my choice and I was buying a new system, I'd probably get a Pro Charger on that thing. I love Pro Chargers. I've always have. I love the way the head units sound.
I don't know why I can't hop on the Pro Driver or the Sentry ones in general.
I've always loved Sentries, man. I mean, I think it's just it goes back to my love for turbochargers, and a Sentry is really the closest thing to a turbocharger. Essentially, it is a turbocharger. It's just belt driven instead
Right.
of exhaust gas driven. But yeah, I mean, I love the way they sound. I think Pro Chargers sound the closest to a turbo when they're really spooling.
I'm
Especially
not super familiar with any of those. I haven't really heard them in person, just on video.
yeah, like I would go with the louder gear set, but if you get the quiet gear set, the helical cut gears, you hear less of the gear whine and more of the actual turbine noise. I just love the way they sound.
Yep. So, what can we expect from you over until the GT350R goes on? Are we having anything like you do another prep series on that, or is prep done for it, or where are you at with
It's
that?
not. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of waiting on funds to come around so that I can get it ready for track day. I mean, regardless, I'm going. So, worst case scenario is I'll just be going with old tires. I have 2 sets of old tires, so I can surely make it through a weekend. But
And how many weeks before this? Because my memory sucks.
it's March 28th. I'm sorry, April 28th.
April
29th.
28th. Okay, so there's a few weeks yet. 20 days.
Yeah, just a few weeks away.
Damn, dude. Where's the time go? I
But
don't know.
really, I really need to get the rear wing on that car because I've already done the GT4 splitter and the GT4 dive planes. And at higher speeds, it's probably going to start becoming an issue because it's so much front end downforce now that it's just not. The more front end, if you have a lot of front end downforce, it's actually like a pendulum effect. You add more front end downforce, it starts to lift the rear.
Mm-hmm.
So with that much front end downforce, it's a concern going 130 miles an hour that it'll actually take traction away from the rear and cause an oversteer situation at high speed. And that's a really bad situation because it's a situation that won't really show its face until high speed. So you'll think you got a perfectly neutral car, you hit 120, 130, and then all of a sudden, the tail's loose.
Is this a scientific way to do this, or is there a lot of trial and error and research, or what? I mean,
Well, I just know for a fact that it's a lot of front end downforce for that rear wing that's on that car.
right. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, when that GT500 video, there is one by Town and Country TV, guys. If you're interested, it's a yellow GT500, and they pop the hood.
It's twisted orange, yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about the flow of the hood scoop and the downforce, and
I'm
it's
so
actually
glad
kind of
he
eye-opening.
started to say heat extractor, and that hood venting has literally almost nothing to do with heat.
Well,
That
what's
is
funny
down-
is I didn't realize that until that video.
Yeah.
Because it made it
And,
very
and
clear.
the main reason I know that is because that hood venting is literally that's the result of the GT4 program. And I've spoken to the guys personally that not only build these cars, but I'm friends with one of the people that race these cars.
Mm-hmm.
And that hood is the number one downforce adder on the front of that car. You wouldn't think that. You would think, oh, it's the splitter, the dive planes, It's the hood. The hood adds more downforce than any other part on that car.
Well, isn't
And it's
it
just
also extracting heat anyway? I mean, how
Well,
could
I'm
it
sure
not?
that's an effect that you're going to, well, yeah. It's not that it's extracting heat. It's a pressure relief. And that's what adds the downforce. The air coming in through the grill openings, flowing through those grill openings directly into the radiator, that's the
Hmm.
cool, that's the heat extraction. That's the heat being extracted from the coolers.
But
The
that
hood,
air's got to go somewhere. It's going out the hood vent.
exactly, and that's why it adds downforce because all that air that comes in through the grill, it has nowhere to go. So
Right.
it creates lift against the hood. And when you add that huge hood venting, yes, it gives the heat a place to go, but it also adds downforce. And it's more so there for downforce than it is for heat dissipation.
Well,
Because, okay, here's a good way to look at it, just to further touch on that. If the grill openings were there and the radiators were there, you're still going to get the heat out. It's just you're going to have a lot of lift.
right.
You know what I'm saying? The heat extraction is going to happen. The air is flowing through the coolers, it's cooling the oil, and then the oil flows through. So the cooling part's going to happen. It's just that if you didn't have the hood venting, it would create a whole bunch of pressure underneath the hood and causing lift. You know what I'm saying? But the
Right.
cooling part is really an effect of the air flowing through the coolers,
Well,
not necessarily escaping.
since that's all done specifically, the grill opening size and all, when people do grill deletes, do they actually disturb the
Oh yeah,
engineering behind that? And do they actually
absolutely.
inadvertently make their cars run warmer?
Yes, I've
Or,
gotten more eye rolls by telling people that than you could imagine.
well, I mean, it's science, dude. It's
Like all these
about
guys that
facts.
put on those like JLT or whatever freaking grill deletes and like the lethal, all those, they basically delete. There's a reason why those grill openings. Matter of fact, if you look at the 350R, look at the GT 350 and the 350R. They
That's even
closed off the
smaller,
entire
right?
grill and it has a little rectangular
Yes. I know
opening.
that. I've seen that.
If you look at the R, the car that's supposed to be more track focused, the car that would need more cooling, they closed off part of that hole. Instead of a straight rectangle, they actually closed off the bottom part and it gets opened up on the edges again. And the reason why they did that was to keep less air from coming in and causing lift. They need just enough air for cooling. Any more air than that, you're hurting performance.
Right.
And when you put one of those grill deletes on your car, you are absolutely hurting performance.
And that's the
You're
thing
not
that a lot
increasing
of
the
people
cooling
don't
capability, and
register.
you're decreasing the downforce on the front end.
And that could be
And you're
scientifically
creating
proven.
more drag. So even if you're not a track guy and all you care about is drag racing, you are still decreasing performance on your vehicle. Maybe it's not tangible, maybe it's not something you can collect data on, but you surely are decreasing the performance capability of the
You're
car.
certainly not making it better.
You're not making it better. Let's just say that.
Right. Yeah.
If
And
you
there's a
don't
lot
care
of things
about
like that.
just aesthetics that you care about, fine. I'm all for that. But it does bother me that a lot of people, I've heard it time and time again, they buy those big old grill deletes and they talk about how like it increased the cooling or it increased this, increased that bullshit. Like all you did was downgrade your car.
Right. I agree. You know, there's facts and opinion. We talked about that a week or so ago. And there's science to back up that fact. Put it in an air chamber, in a flow chamber, you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. If people could afford access to wind tunnel testing, you would see how much of an effect that has. Like one really interesting one I saw was when Cletus brought his car to the air tunnel testing. And they gave him some cool information. They basically said, if you made this change at 180, which the car traps 180 miles an hour roughly, his car does in the end of the quarter mile. So they say, okay, at 180 miles an hour, you would need 500 horsepower just to overcome air resistance.
Wow.
500
Holy
horsepower just
shit.
to overcome air resistance. You know what I'm saying? Like that goes to show you like how much of an effect drag can really have when when you make a grill modification like that and you're trapping 130 in the corner. At 130 miles an hour, how much horsepower are you losing just to move the car for that extra drag?
That's true.
Maybe if you did some crazy extravagant hood venting along with it, it could be an improvement in performance, possibly.
God, there's just something that I just still not passed with my hood scoop, and it's like I was wish I had the ability to fabricate stuff because if I could, and I had a shop to do so, I would make that
See, those
functional.
like that's a perfect example, and no offense towards your car or anything, but
No,
those
I
are
hate that
perfect
hood
examples.
scoop, but
Yeah,
it's a
like
matter of
like
dollars.
Kraus does that kind of shit. They put
Yep,
on this not only like double sided. Yeah, they put a couple screws through the hood too, but it's a double sided taped on hood scoop that does nothing. As a matter of fact, it's essentially a piece of a parachute attached to the front of your
yep.
car
You got that, and the two side scoops. You're definitely
because it
slowing your
doesn't
car
have
down.
anywhere to flow to, and it's literally like it's there catching air.
Yep.
It's the same thing as sticking a bag out the window. Like you're,
I tell you, I have gone through so many potential solutions, but the one I keep coming back to that's the easiest on the wallet is to just put the damn thing back on and say, okay, well, a lot of lessons learned with this car. I didn't have a clue before. And, as I said, now I have a clue. And, if I was going to build a race dedicated or a track dedicated car, it's not going to have that shit on it. It doesn't look bad, but I would have never put it on there. And, I can't go backwards. I have, unless I did a black hood, which I'm considering a gloss black hood, gloss black roof, or
yeah,
something like that.
I'm honestly just not a fan of this group, man. Like if it doesn't serve some function or if it's demodifying the car in any way, shape, or form, I'm just not a fan.
Hey, and again, I would have never put it on
I
there.
agree, Salty Stang, that Cletus's car is definitely a special case when we're talking about drag. I
Yes.
mean, obviously, it's probably one of the worst cars ever tested in that tunnel. I think they might have even said that. But I just still think it's a great example to, I mean, just think about that for a moment. 500 horsepower just to, so what that essentially means is it takes 500 horsepower to move the car. So at those speeds, the amount of drag that's created, you would need 500 horsepower just to roll, just to
Right.
move.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
that's an insane amount of force. It's so it's a bad example, I guess, in that sense, but it's a good example to give people an idea of how much drag can have an effect in worst case scenario. Yeah, I don't think that changing doing a grill delete is going to have quite that kind of effect. But hey, I mean, if it's taking 20 horsepower more to push your car, why do that? Unless, like I said, unless you're only into aesthetics and that's what you want for your car, I'm all for that. I have nothing against that. But I can't tell you how many times I've heard people that have those grill deletes and stuff like that say that it was an upgrade. It improved cooling. It did this. It did that. It's
No,
like,
I mean, I didn't even think of the drag part, but there's no freaking way it increased cooling. And it certainly didn't increase the air to the airbox. No doubt. That's both why I bet there's no way it did
I
that.
wouldn't say there's no way that it increased cooling, but if the factory decided to take this giant opening and turn it into a hole this big, that tells me that they decided that that's how much cooling is needed to keep the car cool. The car has a thermostat on it. It doesn't matter how much air you flow through it. It's going to keep the thermostat closed until it hits that temperature. So you putting more airflow through it isn't going to change that.
Exactly. In fact, it may have to happen at a certain flow rate, and putting too much air in there may
Right.
disturb it.
They're saying that this is the size hole you need to get the car to stay at 192 degrees, which is what thermostat we put in it. If you want to put a 180-degree thermostat in it, I've still seen the cars cool with that hole in the grill. When you change the hole to this big, you've done nothing but add more drag and lift.
Yep.
Which on a road course, for a road course guy, it's a double whammy because not only are you slowing your car down acceleration wise, but you're killing cornering capability at higher speed. You can feel this stuff, guys, at higher speeds. And over 100 miles an hour, you can definitely feel downforce type changes.
I've noticed some changes on a motorcycle over 100 simple example, and Harleys are not very fast, but I had a built engine on my '05, and it was quick for what it was. Was it quick by sport touring standards? No, but for what it was quick. But anytime I would duck behind that windshield, dude, it was like the bike gained 20 horsepower because there was not my big
or even like
and chest and jacket catching all that
on
wind.
Track braking, like braking on track on a motorcycle, there's a huge difference, like sitting straight up on the bike and just letting the wind hit you in the chest and face to the way the bike stops. I mean, it's really quite impressive, actually.
Well, I mean, I noticed that on highway, at over, even at not even over 100 miles an hour, but close to 100, you get upright, and us being tall, you're well above the windshield, dude. You were going to get your ass whipped, and the bike was just going to be much different characteristics than if I ducked down.
Yeah,
I mean, just the way it was. Well, we run 2 hours already, man, and I'm shocked, but
2 hours, that's it right there.
I'm well into my second wine, and I'm increasing my alcohol intake, which is good.
Oh, my back just cracked.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
Oh yeah, right there.
I wish I could do that. Tell you what, I will hook up with Vin again and see if there's another open night this week that he can commit. And if so, I'll holler at you, and maybe we could do a special edition track talk for your upcoming
I'd like
weekend.
to do that because, setting up for the whole track day thing. And really this time I really want to go out and I think having Vin there is going to be really helpful because I always say like having another YouTuber around really makes a big difference.
And sure.
Yeah, it's almost motivating. You know what I mean? It's like, not necessarily motivating, but it's like, he's got the same goal you do. So you're both trying to, make a good video out of it. You're kind of helping each other out.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that on that particular event, it's a 2-day event. I'd really like to bring 2 or 3 good videos to the channel out of it.
Wow.
And I got a couple ideas this time for other than just the.
I should send you. You want me to send you another camera? Another GoPro? You got enough of those?
Yeah, I mean, that would always be helpful for sure.
I could send you my 5 and just, send it back or bring it back when you come to work on the car.
I need to go get a GoPro 7, man. I want that thing so bad.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have yet to post a video, and it's probably a little late in the game, but back when I got my 7, I took a bracket, and I took the 7 and the 5 and recorded the same stuff, obviously. And first of all, the color is radically better on the 7. The stabilization's better, but...
Oh, you have a 7?
Yeah. Dude,
really?
I'd use this... I mean, I used to use a 5 with a mic because you can't get good quality audio.
Yeah, isn't the 7 supposed to have like an acceptable microphone now?
It still has some motion noises, like if you clank this but in all, it's really good compared to the 5. It's a step in the right direction, for sure.
Yeah, I got
everything I've done.
Just the image stabilization, because for a track guy that does mostly, even if it's not road course, it's drag racing.
I don't know if it would be useful for me to stitch this video together because there's several comparisons, but literally it doesn't get more real. I'm holding a stick, and both are mounted, both are running, and you hear my voice the same time through both. Now, is the audio perfect on the 7? No, but it's way improved. I can
hook up an external mic. I'm more just looking for the really stable, high quality effect stuff.
It's stable, and the colors are freaking fantastic. And I mean, I just got myself a badass iPhone, and I'm gonna vlog with it possibly tomorrow. But I need to do a Jeep update, and that works really good, but it's still not as handy in a sense as the GoPro. The GoPro is just I have all the stuff to mount it everywhere. So, I mean, we'll talk offline, and I'll send you the 5, and you could use that till you come back and do my stuff here. Because I think that's going to be a great content weekend as well. Is that cool?
Yeah, that'll work. I'll just, if nothing else, I'll just send it right back to you after the event. But yeah, the more GoPros, the better, because that is
No, I
part.
mean, we'll just have to get specific on how many other things you need because I've got, a lot. Like for me, double sticking that thing on the windshield saves me the suction cup mount. So right under my rear view mirror.
I've never done a track video with like full, GoPro facing rear, GoPro facing front, GoPro in the car. Like that's really what I want to do because you never know what you it always seems to be like on the bike. I was considering, should I face a GoPro rear? Like I didn't have the option to do two and the vlogger's GoPro. I usually have one set up for vlogging and then one that I mount on the car of the bike.
I think you got to have three angles, man.
I thought to myself, I should have one facing to the rear. The guy that was chasing me ended up going down right behind me.
Right. I think more angles. You don't need all those audios. You need one good audio, but really you need the angles.
Yeah, exactly. You only need one good audio source, and then they're basically all just B-roll cameras.
Yep, and you can bring them in and out as a scene. Now, granted, it's going to triple your editing time, but still, you're going to have a badass video at the end.
Well, you know what? Already, man, the track videos are literally a nightmare to edit because I always have the same thing with that bike video. It was a simple little video. It wasn't really super duper exciting or anything, but that video takes me 4, 5, 6 hours to edit because the problem is when you go to the track or you on the bike or the car, doesn't matter. What you end up with is a bunch of 25, 30 minute, 40 minute even videos.
Right.
Because the track sessions are 20 to 30 minutes. You hit record before you get on and you forget to hit record after you get off.
Yeah, and any of the guys here that know, you got all that footage, you only need 6 minutes
and
of
you
it.
don't know where the footage is. You're thinking to yourself, like, what do I want to post in the video? You're like, all right, so now you have to sit there and watch 3 hours worth of footage, and then you might see something, and then you're editing the video, and then you go back and you go, where was that one part where I like almost lost control? Like,
yeah.
Oh shit, let me watch that whole video again. So next thing you know,
it's a lot of time
watching the damn footage to try to find what you want to use.
Now, the programs are out there to make it easy. I mean, I love what I'm using. The thing is, the level of difficulty from iMovie to Final Cut Pro is not like one time harder.
And then you're doing a lot of footage matching when you do track videos. Like you're doing a lot of like, I need to match this video up with that one that has the audio on it. And this one's, you could see inside the car or whatever.
Well, you need a main audio and video source, and then you want to peel into that. You want the one camera that is your standard.
Yeah.
And then base everything. Now, another thing is, and someone mentioned this in one of your, is there some software or some kind of internal device you could use that maybe you could use from car to car that, like a V-Box or something that, can't you get one of those to give you real-time data and put it in your GoPro footage or put it somewhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on now as well, doing a good track overlay of data onto the video so you guys can actually see speed, G-forces, maybe even a track layout.
So you actually have the data, you just have to overlay it.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I always wanted a V-Box or something like that.
I finally did a video bullet. I'll definitely check that out when I get a chance. Somebody super chatted me $1 and then retracted the message, so I can't see who it was from, but thank you to whoever that was.
It was me. No, really. No. I can't do $1. I have to do $1.99 because I'm a.
I thought it was like $1.99, but anyway.
For Apple stuff, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have a bunch of regulars that come every week regardless, and I definitely appreciate it. I can't believe how quick these weeks go, and I keep saying the same thing, but there are bigger things coming, and man, I'm really happy Steve has grown. I'm sure his next milestone is 5,000, and hopefully we can get him there.
Yep, 5,000 next, guys. We'll get there.
And then, like, if I even make it to like 150, I might have to give something away because I'm feeling that way, So I'm at 131.
I do want to give guys. I do want to do a giveaway eventually at some point. I was thinking I would do the first one at around 5,000 or so, but I'm leaning towards that or 10,000 subscribers. And it's not that I don't want to do a giveaway right now, but I don't want to do like a cheesy giveaway. I don't want to like give away a car soap or anything. So I want to give away something that like somebody would actually be happy to receive. So
No, and
definitely,
I feel the same way. I don't want to give away something that it pigeonholes you. To me,
yeah,
I
a
want
lot
to
of
give away
guys do like
cash.
the 1,000 subscriber giveaway, the 2,000, the 3,000. They're giving away. No offense, you're giving away
No,
something.
I
It's
mean,
fine.
if you got money to
But yeah,
do
I
that,
just
go for it.
yeah.
For me, I
But
mean, I would like to
Mr.
hit the
Perfect,
1,000 mark, but that's a long way.
Mr. Perfect asked, "How do I launch in my Auto 18 at the drag strip?" For now, I'm just foot braking it. So the way I launch it is I basically you can basically rev the car to about 2,000 RPM before it starts to want to spin the rear tires or roll forward. What I like to do is run it up to about 1,300 RPM and then leave a little bit of flash in the converter. So when I'm ready to launch, I'll actually stomp the gas just a millisecond before I lift off the brake. And
Right.
that'll use up that last 700 RPMs of flash in the converter. And it's kind of almost like a rubber band effect. It has that little bit of slingshot effect where it spools the converter real quick and then launches. In my experience, you'll get about a tenth. It's good for 60 foot wise if you do it that way, as opposed to just using up the entire 2,000. It's a little bit more sluggish when it rolls out.
I have mentioned to you that, evolution happens. Sometimes you look for it, sometimes you don't. And I'm going through a thing right now with this Jeep that I feel as though what I wanted out of it didn't turn out to be as rewarding as I expected it. And I've got, money tied up into it. I want to put that money elsewhere. Things have happened in my life. You know what I mean? I think about, man, what could I get for the money? And I'm like, well, shit.
I think about that all the time.
I'm like, well, here's the expectation. Slightly different. I'm older. I obviously have some problems that prevent me from doing a lot. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this. I'm going to vlog it. I'm going to have the folks that help me all the time do the work. I will show progress videos. I'll keep it low budget. And, it'll be cool. And I should feel rewarded at the end of this as if it was something I physically did on the last Jeep I had in 2011, which I turned around in 4 or 5 weeks and made $2,500 on. 25 I paid, 2,800 in it, and by the time I sold it, I made 2,500, and I literally sold it before I got cut open, like a couple days before I got cut open. My arms cut open,
Yeah.
and well, shit, dude, this is not cheap to get cut open. So, and I ask for new blades every time because I ain't doing that clean blade shit. No, but anyway, seriously, that went easy, but that was a much less amount of money. This money is already a little bit past what I expected, but I went for a very hot commodity rims and tires. Yeah, they're not the biggest, but everyone wants the black Moab rims that I have, and I should, if I want to put shit ones on there, bam, I could sell them. But it makes the Jeep, if I'm keeping it, I want them. I'm on the line that I'm sure you're familiar with. I'm on the line that a little bit more, going to be hard to get anything out of it. I'm going to certainly lose $1,000 or $2,000 where
And
I'm
that's
at.
why I'm
I
kind
should
of
break
okay
even.
with the 2018 situation. And that's where we differ in that situation, because for me on the 2018, I know that any more money I put into the car, like I'm stripping this shit off, and I'm putting it towards another build. Like,
And that's great, but I can't do that because it's going to cost me money to do it. You know what I mean? At this point,
the 2018, when it goes back, it's going back exactly the way they gave it to me originally, bone stock.
unless someone's going to pay you for what it is that's on there.
Yeah, but I won't even sell it privately. I'm just going to take it to the dealership.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I thought you would maybe
In my experience with the newer car, like when you're 10, might pay to just go sell it privately. But in my experience, a 1 to 2 year old car, there's not enough of a difference between private party and trade-in to justify it. For me, the nightmare of selling a car privately, especially when you figure in the taxes.
Well, now that they changed taxes here too, there's no advantage to selling privately here unless you have a one-off thing.
10% sales tax. 10%.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, so like when you buy a new car, when you trade in a car, they can't charge you on that tax because you've already paid it.
Right.
So it's like, if I trade in a $30,000 car, well, it's a lot in taxes alone. You know what I'm saying? It's
Well, no,
$3,000.
it is. The only way you do the private sale or sell it to a dealer is if you're not
And
getting
maybe I
another
could
vehicle.
private sell the car for $5,000 more. So is it worth the $1 to $2,000 extra to go through the headache and have to deal with people and show it to people, and you get the tire kickers and the
In
complainers?
a lot of cases, it's
Then you
not.
get the people, and I've had this before. I don't know about any of you other guys, but you ever sold something and then you get that guy that wants to call you and ask
A
you
million times.
feel like stupid shit. Like, hey man, I don't know, it's making this weird thing. Like, what does it mean when the windshield wipers? I'm like, dude.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I've not had that. But I did have that on my last house. But they had a valid question, so I don't.
Yeah, I don't mind if they just have a couple questions, but I've had that before. Like, you sell something and they think they could call you for the next 6 months. Like, hey man, the thing just broke down. I don't know what's going on here. I'm like, well, you've had it for 6 months, and I see you posting videos on Instagram of drag racing. So,
See, Georgia used to not charge you a sales tax on a private sale. You could put, hey, I sold it for $500, and that's what they would. Now they have some prorated system that is extremely not fair. What I paid for that Jeep and what they charged me on sales tax.
I won't say anything yet because I'm sure he's going to want to share that information on the channel. But
what's that?
I can't tell you.
Are you talking about me or are you talking about a private?
No,
thing?
I said I just got an interesting text from Xander, but I can't share because I'm sure it's something he wants to share on his channel.
Well, of course.
So yeah, guys, stay tuned to Xander. It looks like he's got a surprise to share.
Well, we were looking for an update. It's kind of been dead from Sander, the colonel there. But anyway, Georgia changed their policy and made it impossible for us to sell a car and not get screwed on sales tax that we have to pay.
Yeah, it's
for
crazy.
example, they wanted the value of like $22,000 of tax money on this Jeep. And if anyone has seen my initial videos of my Jeep, it was a far cry from a $22,000 vehicle. And perhaps right now it's not even quite a $22,000 vehicle. It's right about there, but it's not, a couple more things that need to be done to really make it, to really make it nice. But it's just a lot of times, unless you need the money and you're not buying something, yeah, I mean, a lot of times the trade-in is kind of stuck, and that's where you can happen to roll in equity and, really make things bad. So.
Yeah, I appreciate you always tuning in, Daniel. I always see you in there. Appreciate you. We appreciate anybody that, always supports the live stream or the channels in general.
Yeah. I mean,
without you guys, we wouldn't be doing it.
No, sure. I mean, and it's not as fun to talk to Steve without anybody else. So, it's just, it's part of, I look forward to Mondays. I really do. And we'll try to do something special over the next few weeks with Vin, maybe with Xander, perhaps with Michael Mack, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, Xander's also mentioned he'd be on the channel. I mean,
right? We can actually.
Maybe we seriously do need to look at Monday's not a great day. I mean, honestly,
maybe we just need to.
I feel like I'm getting a lot of people saying Monday. Even one of the guys that watches our channel, he just said, "I work late on Mondays, so I've been listening to the show on Tuesdays during the day, but I've not missed one yet." I mean, it's just. A lot of people that are going to be on the show telling us Monday's not a good day. Maybe it's just Monday's not a good day, man.
I kind of feel, and I'm generally very, very easy to please, but I kind of feel we need the constant. What about we need the spontaneity to do another day.
They had Wednesday before, so nobody really has Wednesday. Maybe we should.
Well, David Van Voris with 20,000 subscribers is doing that turbo build, and he has Wednesdays at 8:30.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said before, dude, if we I'm subscribed to quite a few people. I'm sure you're subscribed to quite a few people. There's only 7 days in the week. If we dictate what we do based on what everybody else does, we're not going to have a day. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you have a point. But what my point was specifically until track time, which is a few weeks away, is to get Vin any day between tomorrow and next Monday. I mean, let's just say it happens to be on a Friday evening.
He even said Monday and Tuesday he works.
Right. So let's say Wednesday or Thursday I touch base and he's like, dude, I can go. Well, the three of us will advertise it and we'll wham. Because it's going to be the track guys that are likely going to be the most interested in that discussion. Because that's where my questioning is coming from. It's coming from a
That's a
track
good point too. Salty Stang just made. You also got Monday Night Football and WWE. Like, I don't think Mondays is really. We might need to relook at that.
Dude, pick a day. I am wide open, and
well, let's just say this for now, guys. This is still new. This is episode 7. Let's just say for now, we're still kind of in the experimental stage, and maybe we should try multiple days and kind of see what gets the best results, what has the most people watching, and what has the most opportunity to get, let us get guests on the show and things like that. I think Wednesday did seem to work out pretty good for Tunnel Chaser and Stang.
Wednesday did. Now Thursday you got Ken doing his Speed Addict.
Thursday, yeah, I would like to see. Now, when I said I don't want to avoid everybody, now the close knit, the guys that we actually, let's not step on their toes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I agree.
Part of our little crew.
But let's just say if Tunnel Chaser is available Wednesday, I'll be calling you. And if you're busy, you're busy. If you're not, then we'll just, bam, half-hour notice, we'll go live. It can't hurt.
Yeah. And Street Outlaws, too. I'm missing that one.
Oh, Street Outlaws, that racing stuff. I forgot about that.
That kind of shit don't really bother me, though, because that, any type of live stuff, yeah, I agree 100%. Monday Night Football, WWE, probably not the best idea to try to compete with. But for me, anything that's recorded, I'll just watch it on demand or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Well,
nobody like Monday Night Football, not live.
Right. Yep. Well, let's wrap it, man. It wound up going even another half hour. So thanks, everybody.
I like when you watch live streams of people and you're halfway through the live stream and they're already talking about ending it. You're like, man, you still got 2 hours left.
Right.
Afterwards.
Dude, 2 hours went like this. I can't get over it. How fast
it does. Wise when you're having fun. I could do these things, man, all night.
I have to fix this thing.
Get, enough people watching them.
Yep. I'm fortunate enough to have my girlfriend here tonight again, but that won't happen for another month probably. So I need to fix this phone so I can have a remote audio signal and video signal to be able to go elsewhere and have this with me and go get myself a drink or go have a smoke because I get kind of nerve-wracking in here sometimes. And if I can't have a drink or smoke, I might be... Not
yeah,
so
Salty. Originally, I think, what were we doing first? Were we doing Saturday
Sundays.
or something? Right? Yeah, and that's exactly why I said I put a stop to the Sundays is because I realized, wait a minute, when season starts, I'm going to be at the track every weekend. I can't do Sunday. So, definitely got to be a weekday.
We'll figure it all out.
And, I don't know why we decided Monday, to be honest with you, because... really, it's probably one of the worst nights for me as far as Tuesday's my busiest day at work, and we get a lot of pre-orders Monday night. So, right now, I still have work to do. So, usually Monday night and Tuesday night are.
It was not me because you know what I have going?
Well, I remember I said Monday. I was thinking it might be the one day a week a lot of people don't. I know the boring day. It's the first day of the work week. It's something to look forward to on a Monday night. I thought would be cool, but now that I'm kind of getting other people's input, I agree. I probably sometimes you need a little bit of input from other people to see the big picture, like Monday Night Football. I didn't think about that.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
you know what?
that in itself is huge. I mean, my channel is 99% male. All my viewers are 99% male, and I'm sure 99% of those 99% watch football.
Yeah, true. Well, great. I'm good. If you're good.
I do email marketing for a living, Salty. I have a boring job. I used to work on cars for a living, but I decided I wanted to make money. Now I just wish I worked on cars again. So, yeah, we're going to end this stuff now, but we'll see you guys next week. I guess for
Yes.
now it'll be tentatively Monday, but if there is any change, we'll update you before Monday. So by next
Absolutely.
Monday, if we're gonna make a change, we'll let you guys know, probably through Instagram and maybe through community on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, I can't do community, guys. I don't have 1,000 subs, but should I get
Yeah, I
there,
can't do
I will
stories
be
yet, but I can do community.
blowing that out constantly. And I don't want this 1,000 subs for any other reason than to hit community, just to reach a larger audience. But thanks again, guys. Steve, I will
Guys,
talk
thanks
to
for
you.
watching. Appreciate it.
I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Send me your address.